Hello everyone, I'll introduce the head of insects today. The head of an insect is the foremost body segment of the insect, with antennae, compound eyes, monocular and other sensory parts, as well as the feeding mouth parts, which is the sensory and feeding sensors of the insect. According to the orientation of the mouth parts, insects can be divided into three types: hypognathous, prognathous, and opisthognatous. For hypognathous, the longitudinal axis of the head is approximately at right angles to the longitudinal axis of the body. For prognathous, the longitudinal axis of the head is approximately at an obtuse angle with the longitudinal axis of the body. For opisthognatous, the longitudinal axis of the head is approximately at an acute angle to the longitudinal axis of the body. Hypognathous type is more common in herbivorous insects. Prognathous is more common in predatory insects. Opisthognatous is more common in pear-sucking insects. For next, let me introduce three very important appendages or organs in the head of insects. First, let's take a look at the mouthparts. The function of the mouthparts is equivalent to our human mouth, which is used for eating. Different types of mouthparts are formed due to different feeding habits and feeding methods. Chewing mouthparts are for solid food. For taking liquid food, insects use sucking mouthparts, including piercing, filing, siphoning, licking parts, etc. For both liquid and solid food, it has chewing and sucking mouthparts together. The common mouthparts of insects that damage crops are mostly chewing and sucking mouthparts together. Let's take a look at the chewing mouthparts first. These mouthparts are mainly possessed by herbivorous insects. They usually cause nicks, holes, or they cut off plants, decay tissues, and other cases. The piercing mouthparts are often possessed by some insects that pierce plants to suck sap or pierce animal for blood. Generally, they cause symptoms such as leaf spotting, leaf curling, atrophy, deformity, and fruit falling off. Learning the types of insect mouthparts can help us identify pest categories and take measures to pest control effectively. The second important part of the insect head is the antennae, which are on both sides of the forehead, and they are the sensory organs of the insects, functioning smell, mate, and touch. Insects use antennae to seek food and mates. The antennae generally include three parts: scape, pedicle, flagellomeres. Scape is the first segment connecting the head. Next is pedicle, and for the rest parts are flagellomeres. According to the difference in the shape of the antenna, we divide the antenna into different types, such as setaceous, filiform, serrate, pectinate, bipectinate, geniculate, aristate, plumose, clavate, capitate, lamellate, etc. The first is the setaceous antenna, which is very short and small. The stalk and pedicle are relatively thick, and the flagellomeres are small. Filiform antennae are known as linear antennae, which are slender and silky. Moniliform antennae, each segment is approximately spherical and beaded in series, so it is also called a bead-like antenna. Serrate antennae, each subsegment protrudes to one side into a triangle like a saw blade. Bipectinate antenna, the subsegments protrude to both sides into twigs, like feathers, so it is also called a feathery antenna. Pectinate antenna, each subsegment protrudes to one side into a comb-like shape. For the aristate antenna, the antennae are short and thick. The flagellum has only one section, but there is often a slender steel hair on the flagellum, called the arista. Plumose antenna, except the scape or pedicle segments, have ring hairs on each segment. Geniculate antenna, with extra long scape, and short pedicle, with a geniculate bend between them. Clavate antenna is relatively long. It is similar in shape to filiform antenna. It has a few segments at the proximal end, gradually swelled like a stick. What is the third important part for insect's head? It is their eyes. Their eyes have two different types, monocular and compound eyes. The compound eyes are composed of many hexagonal ommatidia, which can distinguish close-range objects, especially moving objects, and have the function of imaging. Compound eyes have strong ability to distinguish light intensity, wavelength, color, etc. Monocular can only perceive the intensity and orientation of the light, and it has no imaging function. This lesson mainly introduces the insect's head types and the three important appendages or organs of the head. The first is about the mouth parts, the second is about the structure and types of antennae, the third is the types and functions of insects' eyes. Thanks for participating. See you!